Hey everybody, Who's Your Jedi here with another review for you. This time I'm talking episode 9 of season 3 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. called Closure. And this is the big setup episode for our mid-season finale next week. And I gotta say, quite a bit of good stuff going on this episode. Now, let's get the big thing out of the way, and of course that's Rosalind getting killed by Ward. And, sorry, my throat's a little messed up today. So, of course, this is another situation where a lot of people start screaming women and refrigerators and all of that. Now, as I understand it, women and refrigerators tends to mean female characters are killed to advance the character arc of male characters. And, well, frankly, people tend to sort of start throwing that situation around, that term around, anytime a female character gets killed anywhere in any book, TV show, whatever. And that's just simply not using the intended meaning of the term correctly. Now, does it apply here? Well, Rosalind's death is basically there to move Coulson in a pretty extreme direction this episode, and over the course of the next few episodes, it's going to obviously be an important thing for him. Ward being the one that killed her, obviously kind of a big thing for him as a character. But we also have to look around. The other ATCU guy, he was also killed. So here it's basically kind of cutting the head off of the ATCU and sort of implying basically that there's a pretty good chance that this agency has fallen to Hydra. So there's also the fact that, well, Coulson is the show's main character. I mean, the show was built around his popularity with the fans of Avengers. So they're not going to kill him off. They're going to kill characters around him off. So at the end of the day, I think that's just kind of have to be a personal judgment call. Although in this situation, I think you can make a reasonable case both ways. And speaking of a reasonable case both ways, I really like this episode how Ward once again tries pointing out to Coulson, like, hey, you and I really aren't so different. And Coulson has always vigorously denied that. But here, okay, something happens to someone who's close to them that they really care about, and both Ward and Coulson lose it. I mean, they both even freak out and throw their phones. So, this is one where I'm going to have to kind of give it to Ward. He is correct. He and Coulson really are, in a lot of ways, not that different. Ward is basically just the Coulson of Hydra. That's all. That's all he really is, which makes him still a very interesting character. But still, and it's also interesting that this episode is titled Closure. Coulson, after Rosalind died, he's going out there on this gigantic rampage of revenge. The closure he wants is killing Ward. Ward's brother comes into this to play, and, he's sort of throws in his face like, dude, you killed our dad. He was in a walker. You killed our brother, our mother. You mean, sure, they were horrible people, but you're even worse. So Ward trying to find some closure with his brother, like he kind of wanted to put that whole thing like, yeah, okay, I threw you into a well when we were kids. It was a really jerk thing to do, but come on. And his brother doesn't give him that. He basically says, like, you know what? As bad as our parents were, as bad as our brother was, you're even worse. That's not what Ward was thinking from him, seeking from him. If Christian or Billy or whatever the heck the brother's name was, I don't remember, had kind of in any way showed any gratitude towards Ward for anything that he'd done, that would have basically justified everything that Ward had done to his family. But he didn't. So that makes it all down to just Ward's own selfishness. And his own egocentrism. I mean, look at here. This episode, he kind of acknowledges, like, hey, Simmons, you've both become pretty badass. Simmons, especially you. You survived all the time on that alien planet, but, hey, give me a little credit here. Me, chucking you into the ocean in that box, that kind of got the ball rolling. I mean, again, it's, it's Grant Ward is a great example of everybody is the hero of their own story. Let's just put it that way. And yeah, I mean, look at how just utterly unhinged Coulson was. And I gotta give Clark Gregg. Yeah, I can't. I have such a. I keep wanting to call him Greg Clark, or is it Clark Gregg? I don't know. I can never. Uh, Sorry, I didn't get a lot of sleep last night, so I'm a little bit weird today. But anyway, this is definitely, I think, one of his strongest performances on the show. That part where he's in his office and he just strips down to his wife beater shirt, and then proceeds to freak the hell out and smash up his office. I mean, man, that. Well, everybody in Shield is just downstairs looking like, oh God, this is horrible. I mean, it's great stuff. And then there's the whole bit where he gets the trace on Ward, and then promptly tells Ward, "Hey, I'm coming to kill you." I love how the other folks in Shield is like, "Dude, you just told him. Now he's going to be ready for us." Which was a monstrously stupid thing to do on Coulson's part, a monstrously selfish thing to do on Coulson's part. He's putting the lives of his fellow agents in danger. Never mind, doing all this stuff off book, or whatever he said, which translates as ridiculously illegal. And yeah, I mean, Crazy Coulson is truly a sight to behold. And I really love how when he's like saying to Mac, it's like, okay, Mac, you're in charge of Shield now. Mac goes, why don't you put May in charge? She's emotionally unstable right now. Wow, pot kettle black, huh, Coulson? Although, in all fairness, though, that is a reasonably good point. And Daisy doesn't have the experience to handle something like this. And so while he's not the best choice, Mac does at the end of the day, you know, make some hard calls. He puts aside his distrust of Inhumans to ask for help from Lincoln and Joey, which is cool because I definitely want to see Joey in action. Okay, he's he's been spending way too much time sitting on the sidelines. So if we're really going to get the ball rolling on Secret Warriors, get the ball rolling, then he needs to have something really cool happen for him as a character soon. Um, let's see. What else did I want to talk about this episode? Continuing craziness with the whole Fitz and Simmons situation, and I love how Ward realizes, like, man, all I got to do to get these guys to crack is threaten to hurt the other one, and that was all well and good, but apparently being tortured only results in Simmons getting a cut on her face. Um, Now, Malik was interesting this episode. Him going on and on about how closure is overrated, and hey, if we get this thing from the alien planet back to Earth, we'll be able to do whatever we want. And interestingly enough, that kind of gets through to Ward. And you can kind of understand it. Think about how much of Ward's life has been defined by, his parents, his brother. Even now, even after they're dead because of him, there's still these lingering shadows over him. Now here he goes through this. Anything you want, huh? Well, gotta admit, that's a pretty tempting offer. Now I don't think Ward has really bought into what Malik is selling here. I think he's more like, this guy is crazy, but I'm sure I can find some way to turn this to my advantage. So we'll have to see. And yeah, I also have to give the show points for the ending bit. The whole idea of Hydra going to that alien planet, Fitz being dragged there. You only spent a few minutes there before. And then Coulson parachuting in and getting zipped right through the portal at the last minute. Oh, was that cool! And I like how they didn't exactly ignore that there were physics involved, and Coulson ended getting knocked the hell out after what had happened. So yeah, there's going to be this craziness happening on this alien planet next week, And you know, whatever that inhuman thing is, it's going to make it to Earth because the story is just not as interesting if it doesn't. So, yeah, in terms of setup for a mid-season finale, I think this is going to be pretty spectacular. So, with that said, guys, I'm going to call it here. As always, please comment, rate, and subscribe. And of course, you can follow me on Twitter at Hoosier Jedi. Until next time, take care and have a good one.